Warning, the following podcast has been classified as insanely lucrative. Listener discretion is advised.
A lot of people don't realize there are long-term storage fees, and this happens at the 6-month and the...
Your attention, please. Listening to the AM/PM podcast may cause recurring revenue streams and unfair advantages over your competitors. Other side effects may include fatter wallets, fired bosses, and longer vacations. Listen at your own risk. Here's your host, 7-figure entrepreneur and online marketing madman, Manny Coates. Manny Coates.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show, AM/PM podcast. Get it? As a matter of fact, I went to go see the musical Rent the other day. Pretty moving play. My lady was shedding some tears. My eyes were getting a bit watery, I have to admit. And while I was watching the play, the musical, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. So today is our FAQ series. And as always, I am here with my trusty co-host, the amazing Guillermo Puyol. Guy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm excited to do another one of these episodes, Manny. How are you?
I am good. I am trying to get through the week. It's only Monday, and the people don't know how things work with us. We try to do a few of the podcasts at the same time because our schedule gets crazy, right? I mean, Guy, you and I, even trying to talk for 5 minutes on Skype is a chore at times.
Yeah.
So anyways, we have a lot of things that are going to be coming up this week. As you listen to this podcast, you'll see some of these announcements that we're going to be making. Some big stuff, by the way, guys, on our Facebook group. So definitely be checking that out. And also, if you aren't already a member, like an email member of our Helium 10 or our AM/PM podcast group, make sure you do that because that's how we're going to be reaching out to you guys. How do they do that, by the way, Guy? If they've never received an email from us ever, how do they make sure that they do get this notification? Because this is going to be like life-changing stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, we have several options. Of course, helium10.com. If you sign up for a free account there, that will get you on our mailing list. And it also gets you access to some of the free tools we have available there. Or if you want to go to ampmpodcast.com, you should see a pop-up come up that asks you for your email. If you don't see that pop-up, you could actually try an incognito window on Chrome, and that will force it. And we'll set up a nice opt-in page for you guys to sign up in the future.
There you go. Yeah, that would be nice. Because once they get cookied and you decline that pop-up, then it goes away. We don't bother people for, what is it, a week, a month? It's a while, right?
It's a while, yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, we'll get that on there. So, all right, guys. The FAQ series is our short podcast. This is where we come and get one question answered, some kind of frequently asked question. And we'll get in, we'll get out very quickly. We know we're all busy. And we'll move on to the rest of our week, I guess. So, Guy, that being said, have you picked out a question for us?
Yeah, I have. I feel like this one is pretty relevant right now with the announcement of the long-term storage fees going up on Amazon. A lot of people are stressing over those fees and seeing how they could actually be quite a lot of money. So on this one, it says, how do I check on long-term storage fees at Amazon?
Okay. How do I check on long-term storage fees at Amazon? Okay, great question. So we all have our monthly fees, right? But a lot of people don't realize there are long-term storage fees. And this happens at the 6-month and the 12-month date. Okay, 180 days is the first one. And it also happens twice per year on specific months. So I believe it's February 15th is the first one, and August 15th is the second one. So what's going to happen is Amazon on those dates goes in and it looks at your inventory and essentially sees what you've shipped into them that has been in their storage facilities for 6 months or a year or more. Okay, and there's 2 different price points that you're going to pay per cubic foot based on those time frames. Okay, so you're going to want to be checking on this. We're going to talk about how you can do this to make sure that, if you've got a lot of fees coming up on February 15th, because that's, like you said, Guy, that's right around the corner here. We're about a month away. You might want to do something with that inventory. So let's talk about the fees though. Okay, the fees, as you mentioned, Guy, they're steep. Okay, let me see. I'm actually going to have to look this up. I haven't seen the numbers. It's $11.25 per cubic foot at the 6-month mark. $11.25, Guy, per cubic foot. That's crazy. So anyways, $11.25 per cubic foot if you have products that are 180 days or older. and then $22.50 per cubic foot once you get to 12 months. And by the way, guys, you should never, ever, ever, ever have any products at Amazon's warehouse that have been sitting there for a year. Okay, that means there's some problems. You either sent way too much inventory or it's just not selling at all, and you got to figure something out. But first of all, let's talk about a cubic foot, right? I hope everybody knows what a cubic foot is, Guy. Should I even explain that?
Wait, what is a cubic foot?
Okay, you liar. Okay, a cubic foot. We got 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is, if you think about this, right? A cubic foot, okay? Think about it this way. If I have a basketball, okay, I'm not a big basketball fan, so I don't know the dimensions of a basketball. Do you know what it is, Guy?
Not a clue.
No. All right, but let's just say you have a basketball that is almost exactly 1 foot from side to side, right? You're going to put that in a box, assuming you're selling an inflated basketball, and that box would be 1 cubic foot. So you're going to pay $11.25 to store that thing once you get to that 6-month mark. I guess it's almost like a penalty that Amazon is charging you for that basketball. And if you're selling that basketball for $12, you're kind of hosed. Now, let's assume that I'm selling a tactical flashlight. I always like to use that as an example, okay? And this tactical flashlight is also 12 inches long, okay? But it's only 3 inches by 3 inches wide because it's a flashlight, right? It's a long, skinny thing, okay? Because of that shape of that box, I can fit, what would that be? That would be 4 by 4. That would be 16. I could fit 16 of these flashlights in 1 cubic foot. Did I do that math right, Guy? I just want to make sure.
Probably not.
12 inches by 3 inches by 3 inches. I think that's right.
Oh, 3 inches? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 4 across by 4 deep, and it's 12 inches. So that would be 4 and 4. Yeah, that's 16. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing it in my head here. All right, so I could put 16 of these flashlights in a box, okay? So 16. Think about this versus the basketball. So I'm still getting charged at $11.25 for that cubic foot storage, but I'm getting charged, I can divide that cost, that $11.25, over 16 units, okay? So if I do that, I'm going to get a fee of about 70 cents per unit, okay? So yeah, it's not that bad at that point when you're dealing with smaller stuff. The long-term storage really hits you hard when you're dealing with bulkier or bigger products. Now, obviously, if you've got a product that, is 1 cubic foot, it's not a basketball, it's, whatever, something that sells for $300, it's not a big deal, right? Because the cost, the amount of profit that you make is still there. So anyways, going back to the long-term storage fees and when they hit February 15th, August 15th, let's talk about how you even find that. Before I talk about that, Guy, anything you want to mention on what I just mentioned?
No, not so far.
Okay, cool. So here's how you do it. I hate doing this on podcasts because, you're telling people to click here and do this, but people don't know where to do this. So if you're listening, you can do it and then pause it and then, keep unpausing until you get there. But essentially, you're going to go into your Seller Central account and you're going to click on the inventory drop-down list, right? You're going to click on Manage Inventory. Okay, everybody's done this. And then there's going to be a link on the far right, okay, at the top that says Inventory Dashboard. Okay, that's what you're going to be clicking on. And then from there, you're going to see Inventory Age, okay? And then that's going to tell you essentially how long you've had stuff in there. Now, think of it this way too. A lot of people go, well, at some point, as long as I don't ever run out of stock, won't I at some point have inventory that's been there for 6 months or longer? And the answer is no. Amazon is continually selling your older stuff first. So when you send in new inventory, let's say you have 100 pieces of inventory left, units left, right? And you send in another 200 units. They're going to sell the 100 older units first before they get to the 200 newer ones. So every time you send in new shipment, the 6 months starts over for that particular product or those inventory units that are being received at that time. Does that make sense, Guy?
Yeah, it's first in, first out. I think there might be, and I would have to verify this, but I think there's a little clause that says that for the second unit and everything else. So if you're doing something like retail arbitrage and you have like this very unique book that sells for $200 once every 3 years, then that one unit, I don't think is going to get charged for those long-term storage fees. But if you had 2 of them, the second one would.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And that's mainly with retail arbitrage?
Yeah, private label, I believe the 1 unit still applies, but hopefully you have a lot more than 1 unit in stock.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know much about retail arbitrage, guys. He knows way more than I do, so that's a good tip. So I guess one of the other things we should probably answer, Guy, is somebody goes through, they go, holy crap, I have, I'm going to get charged $1,500 or whatever the amount is, right? You're going to see. But that page that I just told everybody to go to, to find out where to see everything, it actually tells you what your fees are going to be, which is really cool. So on that page, it'll say you've got, 172 units that are going to be charged $96 or $200 and whatever the amount is. And you can add it all up and you can quickly see how much you're going to be charged. Like I just went and looked at mine right before the podcast, Guy, and I'm going to be charged on February 15th. If I don't, sell more units or do something, I'm going to be charged about $800 on a variety of SKUs that I have. I worked it out. It's only like 45 cents or something per unit for me because, actually here, I took some notes. Yeah. I have 6 SKUs that are going to get charged the long-term storage fees. It's about $800 on 1,800 total units. So yeah, 45 cents per unit. So for me, it's not that bad because I typically sell high-priced units or products. My stuff is $30, $40. So I'm not too worried about that, but I don't have a lot of inventory that's 6 months or older. This is just kind of like remaining stuff that I probably ordered a while back. So you have to decide, what are you going to do with this excess inventory? If the 180-day mark is about to hit 6 months, or God forbid you're at, the 12-month mark, what do you do, right? So, what would you do, Guy?
Well, there's several things you can do. If the inventory is just not selling, you could try to liquidate it. It depends on the actual cost of the inventory. Sometimes it may actually be worth just destroying it and moving on. The website you always mention, I forget, Unboxed or Box.com, where you could liquidate it all. You just want to get it out of storage. So whether it's selling it, liquidating it, destroying it, you could actually ask to send it back to you.
Right.
And then you can send it back in. If it's not cost prohibitive, you could actually do that. And by doing that, it kind of pushes a reset button. So that would be 50 cents per unit to do that. So there's always different things you can do. You have to do the math and see what makes sense.
Yeah. I like the last idea, pulling the inventory. If it's a product that will sell, then I would probably get that inventory pulled, send it back to yourself. It's going to cost 50 cents per unit. And as long as your storage fee is going to be, much higher than that amount, then it makes sense. For me, as an example, I was going to be at 45 cents. It wouldn't make sense for me to pull that. But if you have a product that, is pretty big, pretty bulky, if you're going to be paying, let's say $5 or $6 per unit on this excess storage, why not do what Guy just mentioned, which is have the stuff shipped out to you, and then you can ship it in smaller quantities as needed. That's what I would do. Also, we should probably talk about warehouses a little bit. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to use Amazon's fulfillment centers as your warehouse. There's plenty of places that you can go to, tons of places. You can ask in our Facebook group, okay, and people will give you referrals. But you can have stuff shipped to these warehouses and stored there. They'll have much lower pricing typically than Amazon will, and they're not going to have long-term storage fees and all these penalties that Amazon hits you with. And then you just ship stuff out as you need it. When you start getting low, you know what your sales velocity is. Ship in X number of units. That's what Kevin King, my buddy, does. He has his own warehouse, his own storage, I should say, and he just puts everything in there and pulls things as needed and sends it in. And if you're dealing with or working with a freight forwarder, then ask them. They probably have a warehouse. And since you're already working with them, your billing is already integrated. Might be a great solution to actually use them. And if they don't have something, they could probably refer you to somebody that does. So that's what I have to say about that.
Awesome. And I know that you went kind of fast when explaining how to check. So what we'll do is we'll put a link to the inventory age report, the inventory health report, and the recommended removals report. Those are the 3 things that you can watch, and we can link directly from the podcast notes just to help our listeners.
Perfect. So guys, if you want to find out more about anything Amazon related, one of the best resources outside of our podcast, which by the way, let me talk about that real quick. ampmpodcast.com. Okay. If you don't know, that's the website where we have all of our podcasts, and you can also click over to iTunes from there and actually subscribe. We hope you subscribe. But one of the best resources I was just mentioning is our Facebook group. And we have over 15,000 members as of right now, the time that we're actually recording this episode. 15,000 sellers, Amazon sellers. One of the most active communities is on Facebook. So you find that by going to Facebook and typing in FBA High Rollers. We should be the first one that pops up. You'll see it says 15,000 people. And I believe, Guy, they can also do that at our website.
Yeah, you can go to ampmpodcast.com/Facebook, and that will redirect you to their group.
Perfect. So you'll find me and Guy in there. We get inundated with so many people being in there. So don't fret if we don't get to you immediately, but there's so many people that can answer your questions, and our community is just amazing. It's awesome. Isn't it, Guy? It's amazing.
I love it. Love the high rollers, man.
All right, man. Well, I think that answers the question. If there's anything you want to add, Guy, feel free to do so right now.
No, I think that wraps it up.
Perfect, guys. All right, until next time, we hope you enjoyed this episode. My name is Manny Coates. I'm here with Guillermo Puyol. We'll talk to you then. If you like this episode, definitely check out episode number 98. That's one of our FAQ series episodes, and in that episode, we asked the question, can I choose which Amazon warehouse my private label product will ship to? Find out the answer in episode number 98. Hey guys, Manny Coates here. If you've been following my podcast, you know I'm a huge fan of the Helium 10 tools for Amazon sellers. I only use the best tools out there, and the Helium 10 suite of tools are, in my opinion, best in class. Now, just because I'm the founder of Helium 10 doesn't mean that's all I use, right? I go where the money's at, and if there's a tool on the market that I haven't made and that tool helps me make money, I'll use it, and I'll talk about it here on the podcast, and I'll even link to it in our tools section at the ampmpodcast.com website. But I can honestly say that there's no place that I know of where you can get all the important tools that an FBA seller would need in one place, where the tools work with one another to help you save time and make you a lot of money. Now, the Helium 10 tools have had a huge hand in helping me go from zero to over $1 million in Amazon sales in just 10 months. Okay, keyword research, listing optimization, and a super tool called 5K Checker that makes sure that the words in my listings, okay, the front end and the back end, are actually indexed by Amazon. And guys, if you're not checking this, you're leaving money on the table for sure, because Amazon is always tweaking their search engine. Okay, so I always use 5K Checker every single month on every single one of my listings to ensure that my listings are still indexed for my keywords and that I'm still pulling in customers like crazy. If you're a longtime listener, you know I'll never use a tool unless it can save me a lot of time or it's gonna make me a lot of money. So I'm confident Helium 10 will do this for you guys, all right? There's a money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Check it out. Head over to helium10.com. Helium10.com. That's helium10.com.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.